It is 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Our first item is our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, a roll call.
Ms. Bolenboker is absent. Mr. Chandler is he online? Is not. Nope. Okay. Mr. Choate? Here. Ms. Campatello?
Here.
Mr. Hof?
Here.
Mr. Oliverio?
Here.
Ms. Polkownik?
Here.
Mayor Perry? Here. Solicitor Corbel?
I'm here.
Engineer Keenan? Here. Director Tedesco? Is here, but he's out of the room right now. Chief Ford is not here today, and myself, we do have a quorum.
Okay, great. All right, our consent agenda. So we have the council meeting minutes from October 9th, the list from October 23rd, and then all the reports. These are all in the Council OneDrive for council to review. So I'm looking for a motion to approve the October 23rd, 2025 consent agenda, pending bill list approval by the Borough President, Manager, and Treasurer.
So moved.
Mr. Hove?
Second.
Ms. Compitello? Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Oppose? Motion passes. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor is our assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. Okay. All right, we have one, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy Moore, 1781 Bar Avenue. I was just wondering if during the engineer's report or at some point, if there's any other update for the Perrine Street. It's sort of been in this stage for a while. Just curious what's maybe going on with a little more detail. And hopefully there's no chance of losing any of that grant money. Just, that's all.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Larry, would you?
Actually, Steve, do you want to update what you updated me today?
Yeah. This is in the city's hands. They have to pass a resolution at city council. And we had a email correspondence with Councilor Teresa Kale-Smith, and she is working with the solicitor's office to have that accomplished. But I didn't realize this, but it appears that the city solicitor has resigned and left, and so now I just assumed that this is something that has been, misplaced or misprioritized during a internal transition period as we roll towards the end of the year when the administration will change. So we reached out to Ms. Kale-Smith again today just to see if there was any update after Jim and I were talking again. I didn't hear back, but she's usually pretty good about getting back to us in a few days. So I would just chalk it up to city bureaucracy, and I don't think there's any need to be concerned about losing any money for the project. So, but we're getting there. Ask Chief Ford, the wheels turn slowly in the city.
So are they replacing the solicitor, or is it just they go through?
Ms. Kale-Smith referenced the individual she sent the email to as the interim city solicitor. I don't believe that anybody would take the position in a permanent basis at this point, and it'll be up to assuming Mayor or Corey O'Connor wins the mayor race, that he or Tony Moreno, who is also running, one of them will decide who is the next city solicitor. So, this is not brain surgery, so I'm hopeful that it can just sort of run its course here through the last couple months of the year.
Do we have any concern? Because I think Teresa's term ends at the end of the year too.
I don't. I understand that there'll be a smooth transition between herself and whomever is the successor.
And the successor most likely is going to be her chief of staff.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to say
For her position,
there is
not
grace though.
necessarily president of council.
Oh, right.
Correct.
Correct. But she would still be the one that we would go to for this
Okay.
request, right? Because it's our,
Mhm.
the representative that is outside Crafton.
Yes.
And there is no, I wouldn't say there's no risk, but there's little risk of losing the grant money. Because I think we have it for another year and a half at least, so it's fairly safe.
We'll keep it on the agenda, so it will not come off the agenda.
Yep.
Okay. All right, anybody else that didn't have a chance to sign in? All right. Anybody online, please raise your hand. Colton has joined us
Oh, great.
remotely. Okay. All right. Citizens report. So we have a little bit of construction going on, as everybody knows. Patience is the key, and we've talked to residents. We had a Warren and Coulter meeting earlier this week and talked to residents. It can be very frustrating. There's lots of stuff that goes on with construction, everything from dust and dirt to noise to early morning starts to traffic detours and delays and backups. Unfortunately, there's no way to get all the work done besides doing that. If it was, we would try to do it. So just patience as we go through that. The next item is Birdtown, PA. So we have a guest here, Nick Stallman from the Audubon Society, who would like to speak.
Sure. Makes it easily recognized.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
Mhm.
Just tap the mic to make sure it's on. Yep, you're good.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well, thank you all. So my name is Nick Stallman. I'm here on behalf of Audubon Society of Western Pennsylvania, as well as the Birdtown, Pennsylvania. So I serve as the Community Conservation Coordinator for Audubon and the liaison for Birdtown here in the west part of Pennsylvania. And I am here to present a certificate that says, whereas this community is working to promote conservation and stewardship through sustainable land care practices, habitat protection, and restoration of natural system functions, to create a healthier environment for birds, wildlife, and people, I am happy to say Crafton Borough is our official bird town. So thank you all very much. And what exactly that means is you all have basically, you're going to continue doing all the great things that you have already done. You're going to have the Birdtown PA resources alongside you. You're also going to have the Audubon Society of Western Pennsylvania helping you along the way. One of the things that we're able to provide is actually you all were the 14th bird town in Southwest PA, and we had secured a grant that allowed us to provide $1,000 to the first 14 bird towns. So you will have a $1,000 mini grant that you guys can use to do anything that's bird friendly. That can be anything from purchasing native plants for a native plant garden. That can be through us or other organizations. We can also bring some of our programming out to Crafton. So we can bring birds of prey demonstrations out here. We can bring some of our workshops that we usually do in Fox Chapel. Feels like it's 2 states away. We can bring that stuff to you all. So that's all the things that we can do with the mini grant, and we'll continue this partnership. But if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I have, for the birds of prey demonstration, can that be done at a larger event?
How large?
Well, I guess it depends. We have periodic events throughout the year, like, obviously we wouldn't want to do 4th of July. I'm guessing that wouldn't be good.
Like
But
Fall Fest.
but Fall
Fest.
Fest,
Yeah.
where they have about, I think the last year we had about 1,000 people. Yeah, those.
Yeah, so usually in those larger situations, what we kind of do is we'll set up a tabling event where we actually have a lot of artifacts. We have a lot of touch items, feather demonstrations, all sorts of things. And then we usually have certain windows that will actually bring the birds out. That way we can kind of make sure that they're down below. If they're getting a little antsy, we can ensure that they're out, ready to present and be happy. But yeah, that's definitely something that we have done in the past. Any other questions?
Did I see a street sign?
I do have
Yeah.
street signs.
Nice.
So these are for you all. We have two, and I would actually love to take a photo with any council members and any Birdtown committee members that are present with the certificates and these signs. Also, if you all want more signs, we do provide more. They're $60 each. The mini grant money can be used for that or any money. But yeah.
Yeah, so what I want to do, something unusual, but if anybody in the audience has questions for Nick while he's here, please feel free.
Yes. Yeah, question. We are working on a trail study, which takes us down along Chartiers Creek. And there's been spotting of like eagles and all kinds of stuff. So you guys, can you support us in like bird identification, walks and stuff like that, once we get our trails together, like create a event for people to walk those trails and learn those trails, and also teach a little bit about birding so that we can use your services that way.
Yes, that's 100% something that we have done with some of the bird towns where we've actually instituted First Friday walks or something similar at one of the local parks. This wasn't through Birdtown, but in the Mon Valley, we do First Friday walks at Renzi Park that we've continued to do since. We do First Friday walks in Freeport as well. And so that's something that we'd love to do. And as far as if you want real actual data for the future, we also can do point count surveys where we have one of our professional birders come out and we'll actually survey the area to try to really determine what species are out there. But we're more than happy to do some guided walks as well. Any other questions?
I want to recognize Kristen Schuley, who brought Birdtown to us as part of the Shade Tree Commission. And with the grant and everything at our next Shade Tree Commission meeting, which is the second Tuesday of the month. Yeah. So, oh, did we move? Oh, yeah, we moved it because of Veterans Day. Yeah, so it's Monday. That's good catch. Be our meeting. We'll be discussing this and the signs and everything else too. So that is a public meeting. Anybody can attend. So I encourage everybody. 6 o'clock on November 10th is the meeting. So
Can we grab a picture?
Yeah.
Oops.
Got it. Another sign.
Yeah.
oh,
Maybe the mayor.
So cute.
Yeah, so these
All
are.
right, I'm on the cardinal. Who else has the other?
These are wood thrush, northern cardinal, and eastern bluebird.
Okay.
Wood brush.
Mary should be in it too.
I am
Does
wearing
anybody else know the report? I mean, from the shade tree here? No.
you can just marry.
So tell me what to do there.
Yeah.
And the mayor, come on.
Let's do this quick. People are waiting. Let's go. Let's go. Gonna be complicated.
Can't hide.
Get in here. Oh, people first. Mary.
Just block me. Yeah, perfect. No, I don't.
That rowdy. Your call. Oh, well, now I'm oddly out.
Everybody look at the camera. I'm gonna take a couple of these. Good work. Sec. Okay, got it. Thank
I'm
you.
like, oh, no.
Good work.
That's all good.
I will add that there is a fee whenever you join. And what happened, which was really nice, we had a donation from Betsy Martin, who was one of the leaders of the Shade Tree Commission, who died at age 99. And it was really nice that at one of the donations made for a memorial, we were actually able to use to become a Bird City USA. So I think Betsy would love that too.
Very, very nice.
That's
She would, absolutely.
Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah, so this is really great, and to acknowledge not only the donation from Betsy, but the Shade Tree and all the work the Shade Tree Commission has done for this has been great. So that group has spent a lot of work on it, and we have to get certified every year. So every year we have to go through a certification process, and we're at green level, and I think you go bronze, silver, gold. So there's things that we have to do to continue to get certified. So,
Very cool.
right. All right. Next, mayor's report.
Thanks.
Main thing that I have tonight is to just let everybody know that, our, police department is getting involved with one of the, Thanksgiving deliver meals to people who need meals. They're coordinating with the program that's already in the city of Pittsburgh and Rotary Club and others who have programs so that we're not doubling and tripling. So there's a poster around, and I think that we can put out Savvy Citizen. But what we're really looking for, I think particularly are people in the community that might be your neighbors, who maybe aren't on social media, who maybe are not plugged in, that you think might benefit from this. So we're really looking to figure out how do we get this out to more in the community than we often do. So Manager Price, I think we can get some Savvy Citizens out about this.
Yep.
All right,
Absolutely.
and on the website too, I think.
Absolutely.
And I believe that it's already been on the police department Facebook page as well. And that's about it, since we have so much else going on tonight.
Great, thank you, Ms. Perry. Solicitor's report.
Just quickly, council will meet in executive session to deliberate this evening over the 52 Bradford appeal of the penalty imposed by the Shade Tree Commission, and hopefully have a decision this evening. That's all from my report.
Manager's report, Mr. Price.
Yep. Thank you. The first item on the manager's report is the budget workshop. So we did have our fourth budget workshop before the meeting.
This morning.
I know, it really does. So that was at 6 p.m. We will have, we have 3 following ones. We hope to probably have most of the decisions made by the next meeting. I would imagine we have a couple items to update, but it felt like we got pretty far today. So hopefully the next meeting we will have made most of the decisions at that point. So that is coming. Thank you for those who were able to join today. Discrimination law amendment. This is an amendment to eliminate the volunteer board as a portion of the discrimination law. And make updates to the ordinance so it more closely aligns with the county regulations, because we will be suggesting that people use that board, which is a much more robust board with investigative powers to really manage this much more effectively. So I'd like a motion to direct the borough administration to advertise the updated discrimination ordinance for consideration at the next council meeting.
So moved.
Ms. Bokalnik,
Second.
Ms. Compitello. Discussion or question? I know we've talked about this at a couple actually for the past 3 meetings. And basically this is updating the ordinance that required us to have an EEO board and to review any type of EEO, housing, employment, any type of discrimination cases within our local area here. And with that, that's not always a good practice, especially to have when there's other legal entities that can do that. So that would be eliminating the board and then updating the our ordinance to match the county.
Which is more robust than currently. So.
Hearing no additional questions, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 6 now.
Great.
6.
Yep, I got it.
Okay.
Yep. So then pass. Next item, civil service rules and regulations. These have been in your drive. We have, the chief has reviewed those and did not have any significant comments. These were reviewed and revised by a law firm that was hired by the Civil Service Commission. So in those documents, mainly we're updating legal requirements for the commission and several other things that have changed since they were last updated in 2013. So this is preparing us if we do need, we're supposed to have a list every 2 years of potential officers. We don't have a need currently, but you never know when that changes. So you always want to be prepared for that. I don't know if you want to make any comments before I call for a motion.
No, I mean, you've covered it pretty well. These are legal requirements. Our Civil Service Commission has been working very hard for the last 18 months, actually, on this, because there have been a lot of changes. And yes, as you mentioned, we are legally required to have an updated list of qualified applicants every 2 years, and we have not had one for quite a number of years at this point. So it's a really good thing that we're approaching being able to be in compliance with the law.
And for the public's sake, what does the Civil Service Commission do?
What does the Civil Service Commission do? Well, they make sure that our civil service rules and regulations are up to date. And then for civil service positions, they do review them. They are also the commission that depending on the any types of civil service violations or issues, they may be called on to review the issues, the complaints, that sort of thing.
This is only for police officers, not the chief or
No,
anybody.
chief is not
Yes.
covered by civil service, but all of our police officers are covered by civil service.
So I'd like a motion to accept the updated civil service rules and regulations as proposed by Crafton Civil Service Commission.
So moved.
Mr. Hof,
Second.
Mr. Choate? Any comments, discussion?
Can you explain what specifically was updated?
I cannot go through and give you exactly what was updated. Steve, you know what some of the updates, that have, it's essentially legal stuff that has changed.
Yeah, a lot of it is around legislation that was passed in 2020, 2021 around reviewing the backgrounds of candidates, particularly as to whether or not they were disciplined or terminated at their previous employment for a litany of criminal or other, issues that the Commonwealth determined to be against public policy, things like discrimination, harassment, and then criminal activities too. It lists a whole litany of if you're convicted. And it basically creates a clearinghouse in Harrisburg where those types of terminations have to be reported, terminations, disciplinary actions. And if you hire somebody who is on that list, you have to submit a statement as to why you are hiring somebody with that type of background to be an officer in your community. So it's supposed to help clean up the ranks, if you will, of any officers who may have longer term issues with their conduct. That's and also there are other updates with respect to background checks with testing mental health issues, physical abilities, that sort of thing. I'm not sure what else is in there, but I know that those are the major items that have to be included in any updates since 2020, which would include this one.
I think with regard to that, there's also in the current version, there's specifications about who and how physical testing is done, and that has changed because the county has handled that in the past, and so that has changed, and those things had to be updated as well. And I think there's a handful of other things such as that.
So is it fair to say these are changes that are not made arbitrarily? They're changes that are made because legislation outside of Crafton Borough, like at a state
Yes,
level, has changed. So
primarily.
we're just updating to reflect.
Yes, primarily.
I believe.
Has Chief Ford reviewed?
Yes.
He has.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect.
Any other questions or comments? All right, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Good, thank you. The next item is in regards to the property at 30 Elmwood Street, which was destroyed by fire in 2025. This is a resolution allowing us to apply for Act 152 funds, which will allow the borough to tear that house down. So I'd like to get a motion to approve Resolution 2025-20. It's a slums and blight resolution permitting the borough to apply for and receive funding through Act 152 funds to demolish the house at 30 Elmwood Street.
So moved.
Okay, Mr. Hope? Ms. Compitello? Any questions or discussion? So, the owners of can you explain maybe a little bit about the owners of the house?
Sure, when the house burned down, it was inhabited by two of the descendants of the owners of the house. And it had not been transferred into their name. They had not been paying taxes. So there was no insurance on the house and they have essentially left the house for the borough to take care of. And so we did get signed permission from them for us to take it down. They don't have the money to take it down. But it's a danger now to the borough. The property will be liened with whatever cost, even if we get it as a grant. So we will be liening that property with whatever cost of tearing it down is. And so it will be it essentially will be a vacant lot when it's done.
So,
With a fairly high encumbrance because of the if we're able to put the lien from the grant. I'm not sure if we are, but I don't know. Do you know if we?
Yeah, usually you do.
Okay, that's.
I believe that, yeah.
Yep.
so, the house cannot be rehabbed, right?
No.
Okay,
No,
and.
it is missing it has no roof.
Right, and maybe from a zoning perspective, with our current code and potentially our future code, would anybody be able to build a house on there?
Well, actually, this is a perfect example of where the land bank might be useful, but it would be very hard to do anything with it with the liens on it. Because the property itself is probably worth $10,000 to $15,000. It's very difficult to build a house on a vacant lot, because the cost of the houses on that street are probably in the $130 a square foot. Building a new house is $250 a square foot, so it's most likely to exist as a side yard until situations change or someone gets, that's unlikely to change.
But if somebody wanted to, could they currently build on that lot? Under
That's
the
a
current
good
zone.
question. Well, you can build a single family house on essentially any lot. As long as it is of the right slope. It can be 20 feet lot wide, it can be any width, as long as you follow the current setbacks. So it could be built on, probably just not likely to be built on because of the economics. So.
Also, even if the ordinance changed setbacks, side yards, front yards, that sort of thing, the structure, even though it's being torn down, there is a period of time where ownership could reconstruct a building nearly in an identical type of footprint, even though it may not conform with the new setbacks. It would be a non-conforming structure. But there's a small window of time, maybe a year or so.
Yeah,
18 months
Yep.
that you can do that.
And even a
typically.
new owner could do that? They would. It would be
Correct.
under-
Yeah.
But you'd have to be pretty quick about it.
Got it.
Yeah. Because it's already been 8-9 months.
Mhm.
So.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor,
Aye.
opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
Okay. Next item is actually related to the same thing. We have to pass 2 resolutions to make this happen. So this is to approve resolution 2025-21. This is a concurring resolution permitting the borough to apply for Act 152 funds. For the same purpose, for the demolition of 30 Elmwood Street, which was destroyed in fire. So I'd like a motion to approve resolution 2025-21, a concurring resolution permitting the borough to apply for Act 152 funds.
So moved.
Ms. Polkownik, Ms. Comptello seconds. Questions or discussion? Wait, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
All right, thank you. And then the last item on the my portion of the agenda is the Trail Study Committee is doing a public engagement on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 6 p.m. So please join us. There are flyers around town at the library, at the coffee shops, and at some of the other places. So if you don't have one, I think if there's still some over there, great. If not, we can get more out there, but they're on the website as well. So please join us. Be great.
So for clarity on this is, the Trail Committee has worked on this project for some time, and this is to receive public feedback on potential proposals and everything.
Correct.
And where is it located to?
Oh, at the community center.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Very good. Thank you, Mr. Price. Engineers report, Mr. Keenan.
Thank you. Good evening, Broadhead Sewer Separation Project. Right now, it's currently on Crafton Boulevard and Warren Street. Right now, these two locations, it's taken them some time. On Crafton Boulevard, the trench is 20 feet deep and takes quite a bit of time to get down there, move all the trench boxes in place, and is one of the slower areas to get done. Warren Street, the contractor experienced some rock in the road and has slowed down their operations, but have since gotten out of that and are probably about less than 100 feet away from the Linwood intersection. Crafton Boulevard closure and the detour are still in effect and expected to last a month. Closure of the trail portion is also still in effect. And since last meeting, we've been having weekly contractor meetings, Fridays. Borough Construction website has been updated with new statuses on those projects. And starting on Monday, we have had resident meetings with the people who live on those streets in the project. The expected project completion date is October next year, 2026. A last minute update also, starting Monday next week, the contractor will be starting the sidewalks and concrete curbs on that street. They will go up one side and down the other as that work progresses. Next, Preen Street. Steve, you have a pretty detailed update on that, but it is still in the process of obtaining a resolution from the city of Pittsburgh. Union Road, we've had some further discussions with Gateway on this. It's resulted in us seeking more information to try and take a minimalistic approach to this. Next steps are still being discussed. We had our weekly Wednesday meeting with Gateway. The PM who oversees this was not on that meeting, but we're still waiting to get some more information from him and continuing resolution for that. Next is the C20 sewer separation. This project is currently at the Steuben Foster intersection, heading towards West Crafton intersection where it will be completed. I have here the expected completion date is Friday the 14th. Based on the update with Rosario work, that is likely to change. The Steuben Street paving is tentatively scheduled for November 12th. The ponding issue of water at the southeast Steuben Duncan intersection concern is going to be addressed by modifying the ramp and the asphalt in front to allow proper drainage to the nearby inlets. The contractor agreed to the bid prices with the estimated cost to be $7,000 to $9,000. Crosswalks will also be installed at the Duncan Steuben intersection. PennDOT gave us their okay with that. Duncan Avenue paving, there was a concern with increased ponding on that street after the final paving was done. Since then, we did have a meeting out there with the contractor, the paving contractor, and the Gateway to discuss these discrepancies. Right now, the effort is to get them to come back out and repave this when the time comes. And the last update with this is that the Saturday work schedule has been extended and will continue up until the number 15th weekend. which has me to think that this November 14th, which is on their schedule, is likely to change to shortly after that. Any questions thus far?
Do you know when the crosswalks, that work will be an idea?
I think that would be at the end of the project.
Okay.
Really when final paving is all done. Most importantly, when that ramp is done at the corner, because that's where these crosswalks are going.
Got it.
Which includes modification of that asphalt, and these markings will go on once that's done.
Okay.
And to be clear, what will it look like in the finals? So obviously, we're gonna have sewers underneath, but
Mhm.
all of Steuben or the area that they were will be all repaved
Mhm.
or.
Areas where the sewer was put in, they'll have paving, restoration on top of that road. There's also been some new curbs put in along there. And like I said, sewer, which also includes new inlets, new manholes. But for the most part, that's it.
And to be clear, this is not curb to curb paving necessarily. It may just be, depending on, they have had to cross back and forth at least once. So it depends on, they might, I don't know where they're gonna be doing the whole.
Right. If the sewer pretty much crosses the middle of the street, that's where they'll do curb to curb paving. If the sewer is more so on one lane of the street, it'll just go from the curb to the center of the road, which is typical.
Or that's because of the grants now only covering the area where the sewer was taken out, unlike Crafton Boulevard, which prior to that, the grants would cover the whole street. But then as we go into Broadhead, we have additional grants to cover the whole street and curbs on those other locations.
Yeah, Alcasan learned their lesson when they gave us carte blanche, the first one, and Crafton took advantage of it. So,
Okay, moving on to the next item is the Public Works Building. I have on here that the expected completion date is November 7th, but is unlikely to be achieved due to the installation of the utilities. What I mean by that is that the building itself is expected to be completed, but with the installation of the new utilities and connecting them, such as Duquesne Lights, electrical three-phase service, MPA American Water, it's just to get on their schedule to do this work is probably gonna take a couple weeks, which will push it beyond the November 7th deadline. But other than that, the contractor work for this week included heavy plumbing, electrical, and mechanical interior updates, which is coming along really well. We did receive an estimate, as mentioned before, from PA American Water for the proposed water main extension and hydrant down to the new building. It's a rather large cost, and we've been talking more about looking into other possibilities with this, such as can Public Works help with some of the construction, help lower the cost with there. Also looking into if we didn't do this, what would the cost be for running the lateral all the way up the drive? Just looking into those answers, but should have them by the next meeting where we can have probably a full discussion on whether or not to do this and maybe even a motion to go along with that.
yeah, so this does, that $140,000 does have some level of offset. We just don't know how much. Because we were gonna have to run a lateral to the line ourselves, which would be much smaller. It's probably significantly cheaper. But that was already budgeted for in the bond fund, so this might be a little bit of an offset, probably not by much, but we're trying to figure out where we can save money on this.
More to call on that. Next item is the Steuben Linden intersection improvements project that's been going on since early summer. Not much left. The remaining work does include replacing a sunk sidewalk slab on Linden that occurred during construction, as well as an as-built survey requested by PennDOT. An additional issue with this occurred with a sewer lateral that was discovered at the intersection, address 119 Steuben, where the traffic pole signal foundation was originally thought to have been installed directly in the way, but was rather due to the sewer construction by Tedesco. Roto-Rooter was called out for this emergency reconnection work. Those costs will be forwarded off to the contractor as so. But since then, the work has been completed and the property owner's lawn area has been stabilized and reseeded. Next is the Linwood Noble Parks. Cost estimate for analysis for Linwood and Noble Parks are currently in development to include baseline proposed improvements to be used for good, better, and best options. This update has been on here for some time now and has been kind of put on the back burner while some other priority areas have been more of a focus, but this will become more of a priority focus at the beginning of the new year due to this grant doesn't expire till the end of next year. Just FYI. Next is the 2025 Crafton O&M repairs. O&M again is operations and maintenance. Three contracts that we received for this are for excavation work, contract A, which includes 10 streets. Since then, that work has been completed. An update with that is that Monday and Tuesday, the contractor will be coming out to mill and pave those locations. We plan on sending out a savvy post with those exact locations and a reminder to the public as well. As this may include some temporary road closures while they pour the new asphalt and allow it to cool, so it's safe enough to drive on. Contract B, manhole to manhole lining, affected 14 streets. That work has begun and is expected to last another week. Jack was the contractor, but that will be back on November 10th to complete those repairs. The last contract C, the spot lining, that work has been completed and affected 25 streets. Any questions there? Okay. Next is the 2025 road paving and brick plan priority. The 2025 brick street repair project is currently out to bid. That bid opening is scheduled for November 4th. And the project involves the priority areas and of Crafton, including Brick Street, curb, infrastructure, and concrete header repairs. The impacted streets of this project included are Clearview Avenue, the Middle Street intersection, and 3 other additional areas. North Grandview Avenue in front of number 8 and number 10. Waller Avenue around the manhole in front of address 1769. And Belvedere in front of 82 Belvedere Street. The road paving as part of the Broadhead sewer separation project to be done includes the following streets: Crafton Boulevard between Broadhead and the trail entrance, Broadhead Avenue, Warren Street, Park, Coulter, Cornell, Northland Wood, get brick trench repair, North Emily Street, and Belvedere Street. Last item is the permit applications, which include newly received permit applications for street utility work. I have on here none, but we did receive one last minute. So I read off that is for PA American Water under the sidewalk construction and repair category, address 92 East Crafton Avenue with repair dimensions of 5 foot by 4 foot. And that concludes the engineer's report.
Any questions?
Questions?
Questions, just. Thanks, Larry. That's a lot. It's a lot of it. So thank you.
Yeah,
So let me know.
lots of good work.
Yeah.
Going on, and
Yeah.
all the things we've been bidding and talking about over the past more than 5 years are coming to fruition. So thank you for all your extra work on these things. Community and Economic Development Director's report, Mr. Tedesco.
Okay, good evening, everybody. My report's pretty brief. Planning Commission, as we know, is this Tuesday on the 28th, 6:30. All are invited. We're going to talk about our goals for next year. And there's a number of urban planning related items on the list that all kind of stem back to the comprehensive plan and the parks plan. And there could be some new items on there, but we'll talk through it at Planning Commission and move forward with whatever they decide to concentrate on. Zoning code update. So today in the Post Gazette, the required notice of public hearing was published for the first time. We published again in a week. Thank you, Steve, for putting it together. It is quite the lengthy public notice, so that was very helpful. Your help there. And the public hearing is scheduled for November 13th at the council meeting. 82 Belvedere conservatorship. This is probably my longest update here. A couple of things to discuss. I want to reiterate from last meeting that the flow of money briefly, whatever proceeds we get from the sale of this transaction goes toward paying off liens to all the taxable entities that are owed liens, back taxes from the property. The borough should recoup most of our money, if not all of our direct investments into the property, including attorney's fees from the solicitor's office to help us draw up the paperwork. So there are no real estate agents, no other third parties except for the solicitor's office associated with the work. There'll be a title company obviously involved with the work. And the judge. So this has been a really efficient bidding process. There's been 8 folks that I've walked through thus far. And in recent weeks now, I think I mentioned this at the last council meeting, Jim and I have been kicking around the notion of establishing a scoring committee to make a recommendation to council for a winning bidder. And we have a recommendation on who that committee should consist of, could consist of, with your approval. And we have 3 names to propose to you. 2 of those names are direct neighbors to the property, Eric Valchef and Chrissy Graham. It's only fair that they get to review the bids. Now, there's scoring criteria, so they don't have carte blanche to just kind of select the one that they like best. There's scoring rules, but they're very simple rules. And the rules are how quickly can you get it done? How good is your work that you're proposing, the quality of the work? And then third is what's your purchase price? What's your bid offer on the property? So they will score around those 3 things. And like I said, I think it's a really great idea to have the 2 direct neighbors. There's no neighbors across the street, helping to score it. And then, one of our council members, Matt Choate, is experienced at flipping properties, and he is a very responsible and thoughtful person. So as a 3rd member of the committee, he would be helpful kind of as an at-large perspective that has experience in the business. So beyond that, it should only be a 1 committee meeting. So pretty easy, pretty efficient. I wanted to make sure council's comfortable with how we move forward with the selection process and how we bring a recommendation your way.
When are the bids due?
November 12th.
Okay, so anybody that wants to bid on the property has to do so by November 12th.
Yes.
And then this committee would take a look at all those based on all the criteria that we've developed, plus the cost to the borough, make a decision that would then come to council.
Yeah, they'll bring a recommendation to council.
Yes, a recommendation to council
Yeah.
for discussion and then approval.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they could bring their scoring sheets. We would have
Yeah.
all that information plus the actual RFPs.
And any public comments would be available. Okay.
Item D, the bocce court. I'd like to yield to the talented Mr. Keenan to.
Thank you.
Is it with bocce or?
Find out, I guess. Thanks, Mike. So I've been monitoring this construction progress down at the new bocce court, and happy to report it's come along very well. It's about 2 weeks in, and according to what they told us, it's got about 2 weeks left. The concrete walls to the new court are in place. The court playing surface sub base is in place. The sub base for the new sidewalks going around it and up to it are in place. During the pre-construction meeting, I highly stressed that this is an area prone to ponding, and they've taken that into consideration. There are 2 full-size inlets going in around this new court. There's drainage inside the surface itself. It's all being connected and being discharged into the inlet on the exit drive to the park. But like I said, it's come along well. They're working hard and it looks good.
So Larry, do we know why it would pond there all the time?
I mean, from what my guess is, there is a multi-car garage next to this area that has no gutter system, and everything drains to the back of it. And from what I can tell, when it rains hard, it all runs off to the back of the garage, and sheet flows right into this area. And there's also probably some drainage from the part or the driveway going up to the pool as well.
Okay.
In addition, before the 1960s, most of that area of Crafton was a swamp. You know, you had the shopping district before it was built was what needed to be filled in. So it was a very swampy, silty area of the borough in general. So it's not uncommon that it stores a lot of water.
And it is a low point in the ground as well, so.
Okay. Another thing is, I'm not sure that the public all knows about this happening. So it might be good to have some updates or some pictures to show that this is happening.
I've got plenty of picture progress photos that can be shared. If we want to do a savvy post about it, or how you want to be.
Yes, because I think it's only where we've announced it here. Yeah. I can't, no.
I'm challenging.
Okay. Yeah.
The first annual Crafton tournament.
Right, it's a bocce.
Yeah.
Is there any more, I'm sorry,
Good, no,
more
go ahead.
discussion on Mike, I think you brought this up about lighting around there. Was there any?
So there is an existing floodlight on a utility pole there. Its operation condition is unknown at this time. I'm not really sure if it's working or not. It's definitely an old halogen light. But it was, you can tell it was there for the old bocce cord. It's
Okay.
right above it. So
Okay,
no reason to think that we can get this working again. It will be
okay,
a great, fix for this.
Just reprove that light.
Yeah, just replace
yeah,
the light.
I mean,
Okay, one last time, very quickly, the LSA grant, and as a reminder, a portion of this is being discussed to improve landscaping on the school's property on Crafton Boulevard. And the tree commission has been in discussion around this project. One of the members of the tree commission is liaising kind of between the borough and the school district. And she is presently stuck in the unique bureaucratic nuances of trying to convince the lands maintenance person of the value of improving the landscaping on the school property. So she's working with him and trying to convince him to, we'll plant new things, but he's gonna have to take care of it, and it's one of those conversations. So we're working through that, more to come later.
And as a reminder, this grant is for vegetation, EV charging, and lighting only on Crafton Boulevard. This was part of the last phase of the Crafton Boulevard construction project or sewer project. So that's all it can be used for in a very specific area that is and certain types of vegetation too. So it's only trees, certain perennials, bushes.
Yeah.
That's okay. Any questions for Mr. Tedeschi? Okay. Standing committee reports, finance administration and sustainability, Mr. Hove.
Thank you. So the Finance Administration and Sustainability Committee met recently and did our usual where we reviewed the 2025 budget and compare them against the actual financials. So real quickly, the account balances as of September 30th. The general fund has 1.18 million. Road fund is around 1.38 million. Sewer fund is around 1.27 million, and the capital bond fund is around 1.64 million. Now, with all that said, I know in a lot of previous meetings that I report these account balances, but sometimes it's like, well, what does any of that mean in context of the overall budget and things? So the reason it has been sometimes hard to give some of that context is because as the year is progressing through the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, the budget is somewhat in flex, and we're looking at individual line items a lot of times rather than larger account balances and kind of where that sits. But now that we have entered the fourth and final financial quarter of the year, we have a pretty good snapshot of where things will end up. Overall, I am happy to report that the expenses in the 2025 budget are pretty close to being right on. It's about what we expected and what we budgeted. So that is good news. Granted, there are some little fluctuations in little line items, some a little higher, others a little lower that offset each other, but overall, we're targeting right about where we should be. In terms of, we list it as income, but I tend to refer to it as revenue. In terms of borough revenue, though, we are trending low. We have not taken in as much revenue in 2025 as we have expected to this point, which the committee has been watching throughout the year and has been trying to identify the sources of that. We are very confident now going into the fourth quarter that the primary source of this shortfall is due to trash collection bills. Over 20% of property owners and residents in Crafton have not paid their trash collection bill for 2025, and it adds up to a very large amount of money, six figures, I will say. As a result, when people don't pay their bills, that harms the borough's finances and everyone's finances in the borough. So I do ask, if you have not, as we go into the fourth quarter of the year, if you have not paid your trash collection bill, please do so before the end of the year so that we can have a really nice, finalized, balanced financial statement at the end of the year and not come up short on revenue. So, but overall, everything else is looking really good. The committee is going to continue to watch all the individual line items and make adjustments as we can between now and the end of the year. We are prepared for that in some areas where we might be able to scale back a little bit on something that we had planned to expend, or maybe push those off, further if we haven't done them yet. So we have some controls in place, but overall the expenses are pretty balanced and the income is a bit of a shortfall due to trash bills. So that's about all I have for my report, unless there are any questions.
I think to mention, we're having budget workshops, of course, before all these meetings. Not everybody's attending those, but the proposal for the 2026 budget is also no millage increase.
Correct.
So this will be year 6 of no millage increase for the borough, based on expense control, fiscal responsibility, all looking at the numbers and making sure that our spends are where they need to be. And also with the staff and administration and also council looking at the grants and obtaining grants to help pay for a lot of the things. And as Mr. Price had shown in his presentation, the macroeconomic trends are not there. Inflation's up, costs over 6 years, if you can imagine, have gone significantly up. But we are proposing for no tax increase for next year. Mhm.
Good job.
Okay. All right, infrastructure and land use, Ms. Compitello.
Right, my first item is just an informational update. Connect, which we are a member of, along with the city of Pittsburgh and a few other partners, had a Greenway summit last week that I was able to attend for a while. And I thought it was really interesting, so I wanted to share some of this information. And I shared it with Borough Manager. I'll just read this off. A greenway is a permanently conserved public open space that is primarily stewarded by the community and provides benefits such as minimizing landslide risk, reducing the effects of extreme heat, preserving tree canopy, and creating recreation opportunities. City of Pittsburgh talked a lot about their greenways program, and essentially it seems like a way to have more connections and open space in areas where you don't have enough budget to do a formal trail or a formal park yet. So I thought that was really interesting, and you shared that information. The borough manager will do a little more research that we can. It seems like something that might be for consideration as we're just getting to finishing up our trail plan. It's going to be going into 2026. There were also participants there from River Life and from, I think it was the Trust of Public Land that was leading this, but 2 entities were doing trail studies on either side of us. So there's a trail study going on that leads up to Crafton from the city, and another trail study out towards Moon, leading near Crafton. And we are just finishing up our trail study, and we're right in the middle of these 2 larger networks that were ongoing. So we had, I got some contacts from those entities, and it was just really interesting to know that we are right in the middle of these like larger efforts to invest in larger trail networks, and we are right at the crux, which leads me to the third thing I wanted to share. DCNR was there, and we had a nice conversation. They are funding our current trail study. They were hearing this conversation about how there are these larger trail studies. Crafton is right in the middle. We are just finishing up our own trail study, and DCNR is very happy to provide funding to support us in that sense. Very cool. It's a really good day.
Great.
So the other item is the DCED grant that we have, $325,000 for pedestrian and business improvements in our downtown. We have been putting together 3 options. The borough engineer that Larry has done some exploring and put together. Over the past number of months, these have been shared. The boards were out in the hallway here, outside council chambers for some time. These have been shared at the business mixer that was held. These have been reviewed and discussed in planning commission. And we wanted to do a recap here tonight with council. There's also been a public survey that is open. So I'm going to start with that. That public survey is going to continue to stay open until the next council meeting, which will be in 3 weeks. So we'll talk through this a bit this evening, and anyone who hasn't had a chance yet to weigh in, that survey will stay open. But so far, we have survey results, and option 1, which I'm assuming we're going in order here.
Yes.
Option 1, which is up on the screen, is in the front runner place. Option 3, which we don't need to cycle through yet. I'll say this with each one. Option 3 is in the second place, and option 2 is in the last place. And they're all getting good votes. They're all getting a good amount of support. But this option that's up on the screen right now is currently the front runner. And all 3 of these options look at very similar items. We're looking at pedestrian improvements, lighting, crosswalks, trash cans, bike racks, a lot of items that have been discussed over the past 6 months at planning commission as well, that the public has been very interested in, and those business owners in this area are interested in. But because we have a limited amount of funds, we did these 3 options to look at, well,
we can't afford everything, so what if we focus, what should we prioritize? And option one prioritizes lighting on Stotts, as well as lighting along Crafton Avenue. And some improvements around the circle, that would be a little bit lighter improvements, paint primarily, to give more, upgrade our crosswalks, have newly painted high visibility crosswalks, do some fresh paint around the circle, make some pedestrian improvements, over on the Crafton side. But the large focus of this option here is on that lighting. We have consistent lighting along the side of where the businesses are on East Crafton Avenue. That's a little hard to see on this image, but it's definitely there. Lighting all along those two blocks. And then what is very obvious here too is lighting along Stotts that would include overhead lighting crisscrossing along the street. That is a bit of a bigger expense item because the light posts currently don't exist there right now. The ones on East Crafton Avenue, those are a little bit less expensive. They would be string lights between existing posts. And there on Stotts Avenue, we would have to install new light posts and then also do the string lights crisscrossing over the street. So again, this is our front runner. This seems to be getting the most votes so far and is a really nice option. We can just talk through the other two quickly.
Sure. Do you want to mention white extension out on White?
Oh, yeah, this right.
I mentioned that, but yeah, some pedestrian improvements between White and Cornell. And also really traffic flow improvements. Currently, the way the division between those two streets ends short of the traffic circle, and traffic is supposed to still go into the traffic circle, but it's very unclear, it's very clearly marked. So we would be doing some kind of an extension of the divider there to better delineate that White goes into the traffic circle and then around it and then back out to Cornell. And in doing that, we also can create with that crosswalk, a pedestrian refuge in the middle. So you're crossing Cornell, you're pausing at a protected place, and then you're crossing White. So just cleaning up the traffic flow all around, the movements, and better demarcating where all of the lanes are for vehicles and for pedestrians. That actually applies to all three. That's not one of the items that really changed. Option number 2, which currently has the lowest ranking. This one focused more of the investments around the circle specifically, so very similar improvements, but these would be a bit more expensive because it was looking at doing more infrastructure changes rather than just paint. Actually doing like a brick liner around a truck apron is what it's called, but we could use nice paving or even bricks around the circle to actually expand it a little bit, but still have it be a surface that's mountable for trucks. It also had the idea of doing some curb extensions at the corner of Cornell and Stotts, which would allow cleaner pedestrian flow, cleaner crosswalks, and also create space for things like the trash cans and new lighting that people really liked. And then option number 3, which is currently in second place, also kind of mixes some of the is sort of a mix between the other two. Still focuses on lighting on East Crafton, still includes new lighting on Stotts with the overhead string lights between those new light posts. More of the paint improvements around, kind of a lighter touch improvements around the circle itself. But this one also does create some extended sidewalk, extended curb extensions to provide more of a space for those amenities like seating and trash cans and bike racks. I will also add all 3 of these while we're showing the core area downtown. All 3 of these also include some crosswalk improvements at 5 Points intersection at the end of East Crafton, as well as bike rack and trash can up at the Fig Tree Cafe. That's included in all 3. So I think that really wraps up. We just wanted to give an overview of the 3, a bit of description for what the differences are between them, an update on the survey results. So again, option number 1 is currently in the lead. And that survey will stay open for another 3 weeks. So you have a bit of time to continue taking it. And I think it's been really nice to see a good amount of feedback coming in and just giving us a very good direction. We have another year to use these funds, and we would like to make some of these improve, like to move ahead with this pretty quickly, but going into the winter, I think we're at a really good time to spend some of the cold months doing the engineering for some of those new lights and be ready to do installations in the spring.
I think we actually have 2 years to spend this, but if you don't spend it, then you can't apply for more grants. So
Yeah, don't spend
the
it.
idea is to spend it quickly and
We'll get these things in next spring. But in the meantime, we've 3 more weeks to take the survey for a Jen presentation yet.
And survey on some Savvy website, all
On
those.
Savvy, it's on the website, they'll put out another reminder on Savvy that it's going to stay open until the next council meeting.
Okay.
Couple questions about it that Kirsten might be able to clarify for me. A few residents asked me about this, so I'll try to summarize. So the first one, they wanted to know, because a lot of them had over Stotts, the string lights. People were concerned about what type of height that would be in terms of vehicular traffic, because I think 15 foot is a recommendation for standard truck lengths that could go through there.
We talked about that before we even put this together, and engineer looked into the minimum height that they would be at. They would be at or above the height that the utility lines are already.
Oh, okay.
And of course, all the animals going through that area, they're going under all their maximum height restriction on a tunnel. These would be higher than at or above the minimum utility.
Okay. I'll let those folks know that too, because they were very concerned that we would put something really nice in and a truck would just sweep them right out of the air. I kind of figured, yeah.
So
I said, I don't know, but I'll find out. And the other concern that I heard was with White and Cornell, the piece that comes out, so it would still be maintaining the roundabout function around, not everybody would have to stop there, it would just. Because there were some folks said, oh, if it comes out that far, it feels like everybody stops at the stop sign, even if you're turning right versus continuing with the flow of traffic.
We talked about getting rid of the stop sign.
Oh, completely.
Please,
Stop
great
sign in the middle of the
improvement.
roundabout, the functions like the roundabout.
That was the concern. People were like, oh, if there's a stop sign now, it's not a roundabout at all anymore. When they'll be happy to hear that now it's actually a roundabout.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
no one seems to know why that stop sign was there in the first place. So
Thanks.
Part of this is beautifying that area. There's good restaurants, there's lots of nice shops on Crafton Avenue. And these lights and all the trash cans, everything else to beautify and make that a real nice area. Anything else?
That's all from my report.
Thank you, Ms. Comptello. Communication Recreation, Mr. Ofen Bokalnik. Ms. Bokalnik.
Take it. Okay, so I'm just gonna, before I get into our upcoming events, just give acknowledge, we did have our Halloween 21+ pop-up night on Saturday, October 11th. It went really well. We had a little over 30 individuals come by. We heard nothing but positive feedback. So I think for first time doing something different at our mini golf course, it was well received. So that was good to hear, and the rec board appreciated everybody who did come down and attend something new. But getting into what is remaining for the rest of this particular year, we have our community free swap. That is going to be Saturday, November 8th, just to do a little recap on that. That will be another first time we're having something different. It will be over in the community room right here in this building. The event is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Just a reminder, if anybody has that.
Sorry. 10 to 2.
Oh, do we change it?
The drop is the.
Oh,
is from
okay,
9 to 2.
sorry, I'm looking at my notes from the last go around, but yes, so it's going to be from 10 to 2. And just a reminder to anybody who does have things they are looking to I don't want to use the word unload, but bring to the free swap. Please do that at 9 a.m. Volunteers will be there to help bring that stuff in. There's going to be a sorting method to all of this, so it isn't just going to be a free for all. Technically, it is a free for all, but it won't be complete chaos in there. There will be a rhyme and a reason to how everything will be set up. So if you're interested in bringing things down, please do so. 9 AM to 10 AM is that window, and volunteers will be here to help get it and set it up. Everything that is not taken will be donated. So again, if you drop something off, you do not have to be responsible to pick it up and take it back. It will be donated. So excited to have something different and new. Information was posted on our Crafton Rec Board Facebook page, as well as our other standard communication channels, but we will be doing reminders about that event as well. Going into our celebration of lights, that will be on Saturday, December 6th. So that event is a traditional event that we have every year. So just keep an eye out for that. We have confirmed we will have hot dogs and hot cocoa. So keep your eye out for more information, but that will be happening. I also wanted to mention that just as a reminder, we did have to cancel our the Crafton Holiday House Tour due to lack of participation. I did see some comments out there on many of the community pages that we have about why and all the logic. I think Aaron gave a really good explanation on one of those pages about why that did have to happen, but we did do a good job of communicating and inviting and extending invitations to many residents, and we just did not have the participation. So didn't work out this year, doesn't mean it won't be next year, but we're gonna give it another shot and another go potentially next year. So the Holiday House Tour is canceled, just as a reminder. I also wanted to mention we are almost at the very end of October, but there is still this weekend and next Friday to get your mini golf in. Haunted Mini Golf is Friday and Saturday, $2 a person. So please feel free to go down there. I did not check the weather. Last weekend was a stunner. So I also, the Cub Scouts are doing a fundraiser on Tuesday, October 28th. Someone check me. Is that a Tuesday?
Yes. That's
Yes,
the planning
Tuesday.
commission. Yeah.
The 28th, Cub Scouts are hosting mini golf from 5:30 to 7:30. It is a fundraiser for them. So maybe if you don't have plans that evening after dinner, go down, play around a mini golf and support the Cub Scouts. That is it for the events, but next newsletter will be coming out in early February. So keep your eye on your mailboxes for that. That's it for rec board. I'm sorry, not rec board, for communication and recreation.
Great. And rolling into
Yep.
board commission recruiting.
Yep.
Count.
I will repeat this, even though I do say it every time, but I know people might be listening or watching at their own leisure here. But we currently have one position open in our boards and commissions. It is an Civil Service Commission alternate seat. It's been open for a while. So I know we talked about civil service and the work that they've been doing. So if you're interested, we do have an alternate seat available. We do have in 2026 a variety of positions coming available for our boards and commissions. Zoning Hearing Board is going to have a regular and an alternate seat. That will be at the start of the new year. Recreation Board will have a term in February, Library in March. I don't think I need to read all of these, but we do have a wave of vacancies that will be coming. And we'll be putting information out there about that application process, but you do just go to our website, craftonborough.gov/boards and commissions. Information on every single board and commission is there. You apply through that website. I just want to remind folks, those that are in those current seats, if they are the person whose seat is expiring, they still have the option to reapply, and they go through the same process that everybody else does. So it's not a guarantee, but they certainly have the option to reapply if they would like to continue to serve on one of these boards or commissions.
Bless you.
Zoom tight, if that was his name. And I think that's it. I mean, unless you prefer me to read all of these,
No,
but
no.
there are a slew.
Yeah, I think the good thing to recognize is that there is only one open position. It's an alternate. And I know at least 4 or 5 years ago, when I came onto council, there were literally like 15 to 20 openings. And not only filling all those openings, but retention. There was a lot of turnover, people going off of the commissions and boards. So to the committee's credit, bringing on the right folks, filling the positions and keeping them engaged.
I do want to say that these are all people that are volunteering their time. So I think sometimes volunteering can be a little thankless. So I think we all owe every single person who's giving up any of their time a big thank you. So I appreciate every single person that is serving on a board or a commission. It's just a wild time. It's a wild time to be alive, and giving any of your time in a volunteer capacity it's a very generous thing to do. So big thank you to everybody that's serving.
Great. All right. The COG, Ms. Perry.
Do you have anything, Jim? from the
Uh,
COG? Yeah.
Yes, the next meeting in November is in Crafton.
Oh,
It is
okay.
in Crafton, yes.
Whoa,
And
what's?
we were just notified about this. Actually, you remember the date? Did you get the date? It's the third Thursday. Yeah, so, yeah, so it'll be,
20th. They're coming here.
20th.
Yeah.
20th.
All right. So November 20th here.
You got it.
So as many of us who can attend should probably attend.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I thought, because last meeting I had mentioned that, and I think we said it was next year, but I remember
That was
hearing.
my mistake. I thought it was next
Yeah.
year. I had forgotten that it was in this year. So, but that's okay.
Okay,
We'll get. there.
okay. All right, community announcements. Our next council meeting is November 13th at 7 o'clock with a budget workshop at 6 o'clock. Employment opportunity. We do have the substitute part-time crossing guard position for Crafton Elementary, and you can apply on the website for that role. Spectacular mini golf. So we have it open Friday and Saturday this week. And Mary left. I was going to ask her, is it going to be the Saturday, November 1st or the close?
I'd have to double check. I thought it was just October, but I can ask her. Yeah.
She was just there. But it is 7 to 9 for $2. Halloween is next Friday, October 31st, from 6 to 8. Police and Fire Department will be there for safety purposes. And again, just driving slow is going to be important. Shade trees in the front yard. We are taking applications up until what date, Mr. Tedesco?
Actually, I think applications may be closed now.
I
Mary's
figured, because
wrapping
we're
up.
ordering. Yeah, Mary left during her times here. Okay, so that program for next year. Potentially getting a shade tree for your front yard at no cost, or the borough replacements of the shade trees that we've lost this year. Election day is Tuesday, November 4th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Make sure to confirm your polling location.
Oh, can I mention something about the confirming polling location?
Absolutely.
So, we can't use Crafton because, we have to use our mailing address. So if you put your address in Crafton, it doesn't come up.
Mhm.
So
For when you're
use,
looking.
use Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh. Mhm.
Pittsburgh.
Cool. We do have just 3 polling locations now, which is this building, Hawthorne Church, and Matthews,
St. Matthews.
St. Matthews Church. All right, any other announcements? Okay. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor is our assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. And for this, you can just raise your hand, and then we will go to the folks on. Yeah, Sandy.
Sandy Moore, 1781 Bar. 2 questions. Since there's over 20% of people with unpaid cash bills, are there any additional collection efforts being made to get these collected before the end of the year? So that it's gonna be worse come next year. And then my other question was on Belvedere. Who all has liens on it, and who gets priority of being paid off first?
I'll start with the first question. They do quarterly reminders. They just will be sending out the last reminder for those who haven't paid. Then going into next year, they start getting penalties and interest and eventually liens. We are looking into why it's so high. We do think it was actually that high last year as well. We just didn't know that at the time. So we're going to confirm. We're going through and going the detailed work of looking at every single one, how many of these are vacants, how many of these, are, possibly even vacant lots, because these don't get updated every year. We don't update all the numbers. So we're going to make sure we go through and really scrub it and make sure that we have all the right data in there. And then we'll have a better idea on what strategy to use to go after, in addition to what Jordan already does. So, yep, thanks.
Yeah.
I guess I'll tackle the second one, Belvedere lanes. We just walked through it.
You had 9 items.
Yeah, there's, oh, you have.
Was it listed on the last agenda?
No, I wrote them all down,
Okay.
and I don't know if I can repeat them or see them without my glasses. So.
They're all 3 taxing entities have liens. The borough is into it for about $5,000 worth of liens, county about 3, school district 12-ish. And by the way, this sounds like something good to post on Facebook.
That is a good idea.
Just so everybody knows how the waterfall works. It's all outlined in state law. First priority is not the liens, to my memories.
So court costs,
Court
liens and taxes,
Hey,
solicitor time, penalties and interest on borrowing, petitioner, cost to rehabilitate, liens and security interests, unpaid obligations, and then property owner, the property owner or the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
And at this time, a quick back of the envelope calculation tells us we have to sell the property for around $40,000 to recoup all the borough's money. Because the really large things that are on it, like there's a $600,000 judgment, which is why that property would never move, is after us.
Yeah.
So we get, basically the borough gets all its money back. If we sell it for about $40,000, we'll get all our money.
So that's all the money we put into it
Yep.
to get it.
Including our liens
with the lien.
and the liens, because the liens come first. And so the school district will get the money. The county will get their money, we'll get our money if we sell it for $40,000, and we get every dime of our money back. And then anything above that is, will go to the other parties. Yeah.
It's in the minutes from the last meeting too, so that, we spent a lot of time on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I know. We took attendance for you, Sandy. So.
Yeah.
No, you weren't there. Okay, anybody else? Oh, Richard's coming up, okay.
Thank you. My name is Richard Nixon, 1761 Crafton Boulevard. Most of my questions were dealing with the budgeting.
Mhm.
Now, we talked about the lighting or not lighting cameras and so forth. Now, is there fees that are going to be contingent every year after that as well? And hopefully we can address those. Also, does this take the place of hiring new positions within our borough for police officers? Because with this, some people might want to micromanage and say, hey, we don't need enough police officers on the street. I just want to make sure we still keep that door open. One of the budget line items was about the police department's basement facility area. Now, was it last month? It was estimated at 10 grand, right?
Oh, no,
I'll
wait till you're done. I'll wait till you're done. Yep.
And my only other question is towards Mike, 82 Belvedere. Now, you said it, everything covered in this case scenario. Now, if we use land bank in this case, would our return be greater in this situation?
Okay,
Okay, that's my question.
okay, great questions, Richard. All right, so his questions were all on budgeting. The first was the cameras. Will there be a fee every year for the utilization of the cameras?
Yes, there's currently a fee for those. This will be higher because it's more involved. I don't have the exact number for me on that. I want to say for that many, for the 2 sets that we're doing now, it's around $2,500 a year. That covers basically all your AI subscription costs. And because basically the biggest thing we're adding is a bunch of AI capabilities. So basically the ability to say, find me every video with a black Subaru, with a male driver. And it'll find all those, as opposed to a police officer spending all their time going through videos. They can be out on they can be out walking the beat or talking to people or whatnot. So that's the real advantage. And I guess to that next question, there's no intention of cutting police force or limiting police force because of it. In fact, this is just something that enhances our ability to capture people that have done things wrong, to catch things in the act, to prevent violence, to prevent those things. So really, it's as much to protect the property. If and when we get to put in LPR cameras, that will even make it better. The license plate reader cameras. I don't anticipate anybody wanting to pull back on the number of officers. It just allows our officers to do a lot more work and be a lot more effective. I think is the goal, but I guess that's really more of your question.
No, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
concur with everything that you say. I know that there's always the floating, hey, we could always use another police officer, but that's $150,000. And our police budget is already, 30%, almost 30% of our entire budget.
Mhm.
So yes, we'd like it, but unless there's money falling from the sky, it's gonna be really hard to add to our force.
Yeah.
In terms of ongoing costs too, I think we had discussed, I don't know, but we talked about with cameras being there, that insurance liability coverages should also go down. So we spend some and we get some back in other places possibly.
Yeah, and I haven't looked into that. That's a great point. I have not looked into exactly. I know that's a question we get asked when we go through those every year, the insurance premiums. So I can definitely, we'll see what happens actually. We'll know, we can track the data, so.
And one of the things we've talked about, the most important is safety. We've been very lucky that we haven't had a lot of issues, but if one issue happens where somebody maybe is assaulted or something happens and we can utilize the cameras, there won't be a price for that, or the fees that we're looking at. So it's just really important. And Mr. Dixon asked about the police basement.
Oh,
in the
yes.
budget.
Yes, that is in the budget. That has been decided to be, that has been already agreed upon to be spent out of the bond fund. That was attributed in the bond fund. And we actually got a very wide range because they don't know what they're going to encounter when they get in there. We have it budgeted for $70,000.
Oh, wait a minute. I think he might have been talking about the
Garage floor.
the break room, the room.
Well, the room, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
and that we
Yeah,
had,
the
which is
room,
a
not
higher
the
price
floor.
last
Yeah, we
time,
had it-
Lower price
we
this
had-
time.
Correct. We had it with the idea that we were going to have to replace the floor. We've since determined that a really good deep cleaning and new furniture, some new furniture in there and maybe some paint will be adequate. We might even be able to spend less than that. I just wanted to put a budget number in there in case, the chief wants to be able to do trainings down there. For taser trainings and things like that. And you do want to have some, you're going to have some equipment down there. So really it's about providing a space where they can use it. I'm sorry that we had EMS staying down there and it's not a great space. I feel bad that we had them in the condition it's in. It really does.
Just we did.
Right. It really does need to be improved.
That's why they moved to.
I wouldn't be surprised if they lobbied to do that. Yeah. And so we're really hoping to, make it more livable and improve, make it something that our police officers deserve.
Yeah.
So, yep.
His last question was around 82 Belvedere. Would using the land bank have been a better financial decision had it been available at the time?
Absolutely, yes. The direct expenses that the borough is in for, not and excluding liens. It's my staff time, it's paying the solicitor's fees to help us build the case docket. And then clearing out the house, my time, walking people through, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time and there are direct expenses. We have to tally them. I think it's probably direct expenses for the borough around 20,000 about now. And with a land bank, and it depends how many houses you have in the land bank, but it is far more efficient going through the land bank process than it is the conservatorship process. There's no question about it.
And the land bank has even made that point because they use the conservatorship in certain cases where they're only allowed to take properties that are tax delinquent. if a property is not tax delinquent, they have to use the conservatorship process, and they have deemed it to be about 4 to 5 times more expensive for them to use that process. And there's more risk involved because there's more money outlaid in the beginning. So it's just more risk for the borough, depending on what you encounter when you start doing the work in the building. So.
Well, I think for this one, remember, we went through that process and decided that it was too expensive to continue on. And then that's when we went to the sale.
To the flippers,
Yeah.
Yes, precisely.
Okay. All right, Mr. Wozniak.
Yeah, hi, Greg Wozniak, 1773 Borough Avenue. I have a question, but it's not a question, just a discussion from last week. I looked at the intergovernment cooperation agreement that with the land bank. And section 7.3 actually says that the land bank, as soon as they intend, they give us notification on the intent to take over a property. At that point, we have 60 days to put together a super majority to decline their intent and to take over that property. So it's an intent. I believe during the meeting, it was kind of indicated that it was only after they've taken ownership. It's their intent. So if the borough doesn't have to give them permission to make the intend to take a piece of property. Once they notify us that they intend to take it, then the 60-day clock starts, and we have to have a super majority to deny it. During the meeting, it was kind of indicated that was only when they took ownership, but it's not, it's the intent. So that is it's in this agreement. So I wanted to clarify that it's not ownership, it's intent. And the other thing I'd like to say is that it would be nice that if you talked about the conservatorship, it'd be nice if you did, and I thought we had this promise to us that we're going to see what the numbers were for the conservatorship, what the numbers were going to be for the land bank, what the numbers were going to be. We're supposed to have, I thought, some sort of a model that we were going to be able to look at real numbers and see how these different models were going to pan out. We're hearing numbers on a conservatorship, but we're having kind of just wiggle words and numbers on the other people. So I hope you'll follow through with some sort of a real comparison with real numbers. So those are my 2 comments.
Wait, so the first one was section 7.3 on the intergovernmental agreement, notification of the intent with the super majority to take the property.
Yep. So to the first point, they have only taken properties to date, and they only plan to take properties to date after they have asked the borough. So if they have never received a request from anybody but municipalities. So they've all come to this date from municipal entities. If they do receive a request from a private person or a nonprofit, they would come to us first for approval. So we don't have to have a 60% majority to make that, or a super majority, because we'll be asked ahead of time. Now legally, they could do it if they wanted to legally, but they haven't done that in practice. And if that was to occur, we could also leave the land bank if they stop denying what they do. It takes a year to get out. That's not a big deal. It costs us $3,000. So about $3,000 per year. So that would not be a difficult process to do if that became a problem, if that became an issue with the leadership of the land bank. And then
we establish, go ahead, Mayor, go ahead.
But the other point here is that once whatever list we give them are already properties that this council by majority vote will agree that they are properties that qualify and could benefit. Is that correct?
That's
I understand that?
Yep.
So the likelihood of having a property that we would have changed our mind on in less than a year would be fairly slim, would we say? Okay, thank you.
Yep. And they don't want to waste time. If they see a process already happening, they're gonna back away from the property because it does them no good to create conflict. I mean, they want us to be, we're members. We're active. We're gonna be on their board. We're gonna be on their advisory committee. We have the ability to work with them, and that is the goal. They don't want to cause problems. There's no benefit in that for them. They want to flip properties as quickly as possible so that they get money back. They want their money back just as like we want our money back. So it's an advantageous way for us to do it. And we can absolutely produce that report where we create a line item of how much time. And I think the biggest difference, we might get our money back on a conservatorship, but the biggest difference by far is the amount of time it takes. Mike will have spent anywhere from 160 to 180 hours minimum on on the conservatorship project, with no advantage over taking it through a project with the land bank. The land bank would be doing the same thing, only they'd be able to do it faster because they don't have to wait for that judge. They just go to the monthly sheriff sale, buy it free and clear with no debt. And then they can put it back on the market as soon as, if they have to do anything to it, if they have to do any rehab. In this case, all we did to that property was clean it out. And once we cleaned it out, we realized that it's a pretty good bones as it is. It's a great property for a flipper. And so that's what we're offering, and they do the same thing that we are doing, but we have to pay that. They have basically templates for all this stuff because they do it all the time. So they're just economies of scale. They're much more efficient at it. Whereas we have done one. And we had to go through and create a legal document with the clawbacks and all that stuff. They don't have to do any of that. And so it just makes it much more efficient and quicker to get these things back on the rolls. And the reason it's so effective here in Crafton is we have a good market. The properties that you see sitting on their site still, because they flip properties very quickly. I think they have already sold 96 properties today. They have about 17 left on their website right now. Most of those are low value properties in low value neighborhoods because it's hard to sell those, even at $15,000. Properties in unencumbered properties in Crafton that are $15,000 will sell in a day. And we had two sell this year for $15,000 because they were unencumbered. But properties that are encumbered with, like Belvedere was, for example, which had $600,000 encumbrance, there's no way for anybody to go buy that. They couldn't take it to sheriff's sale. They couldn't buy it through vacant property recovery program. There's really no other tool except for conservatorship and the land bank. And that's one of the reasons it's beneficial. Yep.
The point I was going to make, the mayor informed me, that the intent, the potential of intent from the land bank is established by the list of properties that we give them.
I think important things to remember on this is, one, we don't own the properties. Like, somebody owns them that's either dead, abandoned, whatever. Number one. Number two is, these are blighted properties. So some of us live near those properties that are in very bad condition. And I'm sure Matt, through his business, has seen these. And we had 11 Fountain Street, and there were wildlife inside living. Sometimes there's people inside living, or kids, and these are next to the neighbors that you're paying with. So however we can get these houses off and in a better condition is something we have responsibility to do. And when I started to get into my role, that's all I heard from people is, we've got to clean up the blight and the abandoned properties. And as long as we have more tools in the tool belt, right now we have more tools than we had when I started in here, which was we had none. And now we've got some tools that we can actually use and move on these, besides just trying to get grants to demo the properties and just have them sit there. So this gets them back on the tax rolls, so people are paying taxes on them, and it beautifies the neighborhood and brings it up to where we want it to be. Instead of, people are getting, I've heard raccoons and mice going into the house, then coming into the neighbors' houses that are there, things falling off the house and into neighbors' yards and onto little kids. I mean, there's just all sorts of things. So as a council, and even myself personally, I feel a responsibility to do whatever we can to get these where they should be, which is in good repair with a responsible owner.
I have one more update. Mary Luxbucker says that they are not open on November 4th.
Thank you.
November 1st.
Oh, okay.
They will.
Sure.
The last,
you been?
yeah, I did.
And why she left, because we had the other question too.
One last day of the 20.
One comment on the side-by-side report for conservatorship versus land bank. It will be able to show how much of Mike's time was dedicated to it, but one thing it won't be able to show is the lost potential of business economic development that you were not spending your time on, and that is where there is big implications for tax dollars and improvements to the livability and walkability of this borough. So for every hour that he's spending on one property, he's not spending that on the overall amenities that could be brought in business-wise to the borough, so.
Anybody else? Yeah, so. Then, I can't see you, Carla. Okay, you'll be next.
Sure.
Hugh Morgan, 31 Afton Avenue. 3 points, 2 safety concerns and then 1 sewage question. So I live on Afton, as I mentioned, and Afton's road has been opened up. It seems like premature. I've only been in the neighborhood for 14, 15 months. But maybe it was opened up because of the sewer situation, because right behind this, Boulevard, I'm not too sure, but that's a jettison. What I mean by jettison, it's like a drag strip. And once you open those up, and I was walking over this evening, kids are still playing. I mean, it's dark, but they're playing. And cars are just coming off the streets, and literally, if you see it from the top, it's literally like a ramp. And they're buzzing. Now, it's not a police concern. The reason why is an officer sitting at that area, it's random. You're gonna get random. Maybe it's during the day when people are trying to get to work, they're going, trying to use the cut and trying to figure out how to get around. I don't know. I don't care. I don't think police are gonna make a difference. What I do believe is that we need to close those gates. And until the first snow, once again, we open it up for snow, correct? So the snow plows will draw out. But it's a concern because children are still playing in that park. And because the road is wide and people feel that they can go 40, 50 miles an hour, and it comes down to where the residents are, myself included, we have several residents where the kids are used to playing across the street because nobody goes up and down. It's amazing. We also have a problem with the tree on Duncan and Afton Avenue, where I called the power company. They cut a few of the branches, called Verizon for the telephone line. They can't cut branches. The homeowner is, I don't know what his economic standpoint is, but I don't think he's concerned about it. But the tree is literally laying on the lines. And I'm not sure if you guys know this, during Halloween, we get up to 500 to 600 kids on that boulevard.
Yes, you absolutely did.
I served out 20 bags of candy last year. Okay, it wasn't expecting but it's very popular. A good windstorm is going to take this brand and take those lines out.
It's, you said
In and out.
the corner of Duncan.
Corner, very visible. The line is coming down. It needs to be there immediately before, just in case Halloween comes around, there's that many people, it can come down. So something very concerning. Second concern with safety is my wonderful walkway, my staircase with 85 steps, and I use the work battle on. It's very popular. Everybody uses that. I mean, foot traffic, maybe 100 people a day, maybe more. It's very busy. If we can get some identification for evening walks, it used to be painted with some type of yellow on the corners of the steps so you could see it at night. Light at the top, light on the bottom, nothing in the middle, very dangerous, extremely dangerous. Even if you're holding onto the rail, just the smallest amount of repair could make a big difference. If we get a light post in the center, that'd be awesome too. So the last thing I have to bring up is the sewer. My sewer bill is more than my power bill. Crazy. I've never seen this. Where I come from the West Coast, shocked the heck out of me. Now the water to sewer ratio is perfect. I looked at the differences, perfect. It's the sewer treatment, and I believe Crafton Borough has something to do with this. And that part is close to $100 on my bill, and the other part is $30. Now, if I'm paying more for sewer than I am for power, there's a problem. Seriously, that's crazy. So I don't know what we can do about it, but I mean, I literally came here to retire and looking at my sewer bill saying, I can't retire, I gotta pay my sewer bill. So just a comment with that. I don't know if anything can be done. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we have the Crafton, or I'm sorry, Afton road opening.
Yeah, so we, and that was a decision we made actually this week, for two reasons. We had major issues with people getting around the corner because they were doing work. Typically, that road opens, when we shut off the water in the park, which is November 1st, so that's only next week. And then we re-close it again for Christmas, the Christmas holiday, and then it gets reopened again in the spring. Since we were only a few days away from opening it anyway, we decided just to open it to make it easier, because we had multiple residents ask for it to be opened because they were having difficulty parking and they were having difficulty getting in and out of the area. In my apologies, we should have announced that and we did not, so we should have made it more of an announcement. As far as reclosing it, if that work is done, I don't know. Do you know if the work is, this was DJ would know, because it was a private resident that was doing the work, but they were taking up parking and they were taking up a fairly big section of it. So when three people asked me, we said, okay, we'll do it a week early. So apologies for that. We thought we were accommodating what people on Afton did want. Maybe we should have been a little more thoughtful about that. So, yeah.
Can we put a sign? This whole street is supposed to be 15 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's going into the park.
Yep.
We don't have anything that says 15 miles an hour up on the side. That might help something.
Yeah. And they can't hear you online too.
Yeah, so he asked about having additional speed limit signs. We can definitely look at having, slow park. We can probably add some yellow signs right there at the entrance. And some information, some additional information. And we probably should have announced it, and that's my mistake for not having that announced. But that's why it was opened early, slightly early, so. Yes.
No, wait.
We can talk about speed bumps. Speed bumps are typically not a priority, but yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Then he also asked about the tree. So, and you may not know the answer, maybe you know the tree. Is it a street tree or is it the owner's tree?
Good question.
Okay, so we don't know, because I can't remember it. It's an owner's tree. Okay. That makes it harder.
Just if I can add something really quick for the tree, the lower lines are like internet and Verizon stuff.
And I go.
Yeah, those are low voltage. They're considered, I mean, we don't want them to snap, but they're not gonna kill you if somebody touches them. Yeah.
But the concern was branches or tree falling.
Gotcha.
During Halloween, when Duncan along there is also known as Pumpkin Alley, because there are those great displays by those several people who work on it all and have the kids work with them and that sort of thing. And they do, he's not kidding, that they get that kind of coverage down there.
That's a place to go.
Yeah, so we can have Public Works look at it tomorrow and see. This is the first we heard of it. We have a service request on our website. Anytime you see stuff like that, please put it as quickly as possible so that we can get it taken care of.
Yeah.
But we'll have them take a look at it. If this is something we can do in-house, we will. If not, we have to find out whether it is in fact, if
it's an owner's tree,
yeah, but I want to make sure we understand what an owner's tree is. If it's in front of a house, it doesn't mean that it's their owner. If it's on the tree lawn, that's owned by the borough. So if it can be in front of somebody's house, but if it's in that strip of, against the road, that is a borough-owned tree. So is it in that strip?
I believe it is.
Oh, then it is.
I can see by the area.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so
Then
that's
yeah.
what I'm saying. Most people don't know that those are borough-owned trees. And so we'll see what we can do to manage that. If it needs to be pruned or if it needs to be cut back, we'll figure that out. So,
then we had the stairs, identification on the stairs.
yep. And that is a great recommendation. We can call Duquesne Light and have them add a pole. So that is something that's fairly easy to do. We do have to rent those lights once they're put in, but it's $13 a month. And that is that's a great idea. We just improved those steps last year. They have new railing on them. And so we'd love to improve that. It's a great idea. So thanks for the note. We'll call Duquesne Lake tomorrow.
He was mentioning, perhaps some yellow striping
Yep.
in order to be able to see the steps a little better.
Yeah, we can have the guys do that as well. Yep.
We also had, the last item was the sewer bill.
Oh, yeah. That, well, one of the things I think it's interesting coming from California, that your power bill is lower and your water bill is higher. That's the flip of the two markets. We have some of the cheapest power in the country. So that's why you have a lower power bill, and we have some of the most expensive sewers in the country. And the reason that is we're much older. So when the sewers were originally built, they were combined, meaning that stormwater and sanitary went in the same lines. And we have spent, in fact, if you got the last Crafton Courier, I have a whole article on where all the money is on all these sewer infrastructure changes. We have spent $9 million. We took out a $9 million bond and invested not 20 million exactly just in sewers. I think it was 16 million or 18 million just in sewers. So we have spent a massive amount of money because we're having to separate those lines now. We're having to pull apart stormwater from sanitary, and that is, for example, the two projects that we have going on just this year are about $10 million. So just to give you an idea, and we have a $6 million annual budget. That tells you very quickly that it's going to take us a long, we will not pay off that bond that we've already taken out for another 25 years. In addition, we put a significant amount of investment in, which is good in that we're ahead of the game, but we do have some of the highest sewer rates in the area. And sewer rates generally in this area are already high, so I completely appreciate that. One thing that you can do, obviously, the more you conserve, it's directly related to the water that you use. So if you can conserve water, I'm sure you had to do that in California too. So if you can conserve, Nevada. I don't know why I thought you were in California, just out west, I guess. But so conserving water, and that I'm sure you had to conserve it is a good step. The other thing, if you use any water outside or any water to fill pools or any of that stuff, you can get deduct meters and not have to pay for the sewage on that because it's actually not going into the sewer system. So any water that you use that is not going to end up in the sewer system can be saved. So those are two big ways to save. We understand it. It is, hopefully now that these projects are coming closer to an end, we can start leveling it off. We've been increasing that cost mainly because we've put so much investment in it. I completely understand it's high, it's expensive. It's probably one of the most difficult challenges that we deal with. So we're working on it.
Good. We've got all the questions. Thank you. Carla, still can't see you. I know you're there.
Carla Perla, East Crafton Avenue. I just wanted clarification if that's possible, the difference between the land bank and the conservatorship, because there were some comments that were made, and I just want to make sure I understood it properly. So when the land bank makes a purchase, they buy it free and clear and there's no debt. But when a conservatorship acquires the property, there is debt, and then that debt needs to be recouped. Correct?
Go ahead with your, yeah.
Is that the only question you have?
Yeah, that's it.
And I personally, I'd like to hear too, if you have anything on the circle and the area, because I know your business is right there on that.
You know what, I'm having a hard time. I was on the website a couple of times, and I'm really having a hard time seeing, so if we could put those maps.
Are they next door?
Where are they, Mike? They're in the room. Okay.
Over here?
I got you. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I think my only concern with that area is the lights, because it's already pretty bright, but it's bright closer to Serafino's and the high rise. It's not as bright where I am. It's actually kind of dark.
right.
But that's my only concern. I still get a lot of light all in my windows from all the big lights from the high rise and what have you. So my only concern would be, would it be extremely even brighter? But I know at the same time, it needs to be, because my section of the area is very dark, so I understand, that's my only concern. But if we could put those maps back out, I would greatly appreciate that, because I can't see online. I'm trying to look on my phone, I'm trying to look on my laptop, and I just can't get a good idea, but I think the maps would help if they were bigger.
Yeah, so we'll just make sure Before you look at those. All right, thank you, Carl.
So regarding the land bank taking ownership of a property versus us, and to be clear, we never take ownership of a property when we go through conservatorship. We merely take control of it, which is a little bit different. We never actually own it. Where they actually own the property when they take it. The only thing that I will have to double check on is what price they pay for it. I'm not entirely sure. I think they pay the assessed value that's how they get it. So if it's an assessed value of $25,000 or whatnot, that's what price they get it for, free of all those other debts. That is how that works. And then when they sell it, whatever proceeds they're able to get from the sale, and they sell it typically at cost, because their desire is not to make money off the sale. Their money is to get it back on the market quickly and get it to someone that is going to have the capital to invest in it. And so that's their goal. So and in neither of these cases do we make money off of it. We don't make money off the land bank selling it. We don't make money off of us selling it. We only make money when taxes start to come back in. But for the conservatorship, those monies all still exist. What does happen though is who gets their money first is what matters. So yes, so for example, the conservatorship has not wiped out any of the debt that exists on that property. They all still exist. However, when we're able to sell it, then they all get wiped out. So if we sell it, if we are able to sell it for, let's say, $50,000, we get our money back, and then whoever is the next person gets that $10,000 back, and then the rest of that money is wiped out. So it's just when it's wiped out. When the land bank takes it, it's wiped out. When they take ownership, when you go through a conservatorship process, the debts are not wiped out until the property is sold. And then when it's sold, then they're wiped out.
I'll add, for a conservatorship, there are two court decisions in the process. Right at the beginning, a judge has to approve the conservatorship. And then at the end, the judge has to approve the sale of the property and to close the conservatorship out.
So if we have which we have properties already, but those properties that we want to do something with, those will all come to council for review and also public. They'll be on our agenda, so they'll have public comments there before a decision's made on the direction we want to go.
Correct.
See, thanks. We got them both. Okay, Terry.
Hi, Terry Ridgely, 84 Stockton. I just have like 3 questions. You said that the land bank's goal was to get the properties back on the markets, okay? And I know that's what a flipper does too. But we know that a flipper does a very high-end job of putting them on the market. So is there any guarantee that, like, say this house on Belvedere was in the land bank, would they bring it up to the standards of which that street is valued? Like you were saying about getting the input from the neighbors, I mean, is there any way that they're just gonna be like, well, instead of, $200 a square foot, we're gonna go $50 a square foot or something like that? So I didn't know if that was anything. The other thing is it, I mentioned this last meeting, is there actually a list of these 11 properties? Okay, and the last thing is, I know that when we have talked about Afton, it does seem to me that maybe speed bumps instead of those gates, when the gates are open, might be a way to, put the drag racing in that. I know we have talked about speed bumps before up on Linwood, and we were told that they couldn't, because of the street clearing, like the snow plows and everything, but they have them down on Fountain. And so I don't know why they couldn't have them, anywhere else in Crafton. That's it.
Okay, thanks, Terry. So the first one is land bank to get on the market. Would they bring it to the difference between the conservatorship where we have a committee versus the land bank who they would have, who they would give the ownership to?
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially no different than if a property sells right now that we have no control over. And they're all over the borough, they sell every day. So yes, they could be sold to anybody. Now, granted, they have a list of approved developers and we get to approve that list. So if there's developers that we know that cause problems, we will deny those developers from the list. If there are developers that have any outstanding, there's a whole list of criteria that they have for their developers. So if that developer has any delinquent taxes in any of the boroughs that operate, they're not able to sell to that person. So they work with us. We'll be on the committee to approve who gets to develop and what they get to develop and not what they get to develop, but that they develop, and they have to follow approvals. And when you buy a house, you have a certain time period in which to do that. If you don't do it, the land bank can claw it back. Now, that hasn't happened because just like anybody else, you invest $150,000 or $50,000 or $200,000 in anything, you want to get the money back. So most flippers are on the ball and they want to make their money back from it. So would they have, as far as I know, that they haven't had to claw back one yet. But they could. And yes, with conservatorship, we have more direct say, but we have a lot more upfront cost. So there's the difference. And economically, if you're going to invest in a house, $30,000-$40,000, it's not likely that you're just going to let it sit. So
I think there's two things to remember, like we don't own the properties because they're not ours, and anybody can buy a house and be a poor homeowner just because they can buy a house, any house, from an owner that is there and selling it to them. And so those decisions happen all the time. So for this group of houses, we're looking to get them from dilapidated and abandoned to a higher level is our goal for this. But right now they're dilapidated and abandoned, but anybody can sell any house if they're the homeowner. Okay.
The other remark that I was going to make is to clarify that, and there may be other people on council who can corroborate this, but not all homes, whether it's owner occupied or an investor who's flipping, they're not all doing it to up here levels. There are different levels, and there are examples of houses that just been put on the market here that are on the market right now where the investments, the rehab is not up to some of the other standards. It's like, just because it's a private sale doesn't mean that it's going to go, that the improvements are going to be of a certain caliber.
I think that's a great point and something I want to note. There's this myth that every house in Crafton sells for more than $200,000. Well, I got news for you. More than half of the houses that sold in the first 14 months of from February of this year to the year before sold for under $100,000. Half. Or maybe, I'm sorry,
No,
under 200,000, sorry, under $200,000. 34 sold for under $100,000. So there's lots of houses in less than ideal conditions selling all the time that we have no control over. We do have some control over this. We can limit what developers get it. We can make sure that the developer has a clawback initiative. So if they are responsible for improving it, they have to actually do it. Whereas if that house that's next to you that ended up selling for $50,000 and someone comes in and doesn't do anything good, we have no control over that. So we have more control over this than we would just a private sale. Not as much control as we would with conservatorship, but we also have a lot less upfront cost, and it's a lot easier for the borough. So that's why we're adding it as a tool, because it's effective. So
And there was the list of properties that are blighted or abandoned.
So that's a constantly changing list, because some properties that are blighted, for example, when I got here, I was handed a list of 28 vacant and blighted properties. That list is not entirely changed, but it's changed fairly dramatically. For example, 3 houses down in Fountain have been rehabbed, but certain other houses have fallen into into blight, depending on what has happened with those owners. Currently, there's, I think 26 houses that are in some level of vacancy, condemnation, or blight. Not all of those are good land bank. We're working on getting that list so that we can put it out to the public. You don't want to put out all the names and addresses and all the information about it. So we're trimming down like what should be publicly accessible. And I think there are currently 8 that are good candidates for the land bank. And there's others that could be dipping into that territory if they're continuing to not be maintained, because we have several that are not yet condemned, but they haven't been registered, and we're not having any contact with the owners, and we're trying to move in that direction. But if they've stopped paying their taxes on some of them, they haven't reached the blight stage, but we don't have any control until they reach certain stages. So if they get to the point where they're 3 years tax delinquent, then we have some control. If they don't do any of their maintenance on the property and we can find them, then we can start to move those into we can move those into the blighted column and say, okay, this is a property that we can start to deal with. But there's those middle properties and that's why we're currently watching about 26 properties overall. 28, 26, I forget the exact number.
Maybe the only thing to really clarify there is that those may be properties that are for consideration, but there is no list that has been approved to give to the land bank.
Correct.
That has not yet been created. Council have not seen or approved anything that will, when we get to that point, that will be publicly, it would be discussed with council, to be voted on, it would be available for public viewing first. That hasn't happened.
And the third one was about Afton, the speed bumps as an option for Afton.
Yeah, every time we get requests for speed bumps almost weekly. If we put speed bumps everywhere someone wanted a speed bump, you would not be able to drive around any street in Crafton without speed bumps. We get requested all the time, but it's bad, and especially on roads that are high volume roads, you want to avoid it. Afton might be a good candidate. We don't know yet. When we get these requests, we go through a process. First process is we put the speed monitor down there. Is there actually an issue, or does it just feel like they're faster? Does it, because you get that, we've had that on numerous streets where people are like, oh, people are driving like a rocket. And we put up the sign, and typically we have ways of knowing, we won't turn on the sign. So you don't even know that it's operating, but we're tracking you still because we don't want people to slow down just because they see the sign. So we can put up speed monitors without people knowing that we have speed monitors up. So the first question is to get those speed monitors up so that we can see, is there actually a problem? Or is it just a feeling? Because when you're standing there and someone whizzes by at 25 miles an hour, it can feel like it's 50 miles an hour. And I wouldn't say in all cases, but in a lot of the cases, we found out that speeding isn't the issue that a lot of people think it is. So we're trying to deal with that first. And then there's other things that we can do, like putting better signage out, making it more obvious that this is a risky area. There's one thing that we could do in the park, which I would recommend, is painting the roadway in Afton. It's something that's been discussed. Very busy roadways that look like they're painted with a lot of designs in through a park like that. Naturally slow people down. So there's a lot of options, and you don't want to do speed bumps first because it's not the best option typically.
Maybe if the road's closed, we may have kids that are on their bikes taken off on the speed bumps. I mean, they may just start their land or BMX course right there. I could just see that. Wait, anybody else? Barb, did you want to talk, or Steve? Okay.
Because it was so couple things, with C20 ongoing now and the traffic control on Stephen, we are seeing inordinate amount of people cutting through on Duncan, and they're cutting through at high speed, and it's like 50-50 if they stop to Glen Sign or not. I know previously we talked about getting a speed monitor on Duncan. Wanted to see where we are on that list, and with the closure or single lane restriction coming for this weekend as well as the peak times, if we can possibly get an officer down there, occasionally just to sit and see what's going on. Again, it seems like peak times, people hit that back up on the traffic and they just fly down our street.
So where are they going though? If they're going down,
They're going down
Oh,
to,
they're going to Ingram, so then they just,
yeah.
Now,
what's that?
they're mad. And
So they're going anywhere, okay.
And then second question, for the land bank, if land bank takes over a property, are they beholden to our zoning code? In other words, are they held to these standards there in the zoning ordinance for that particular portion of the neighborhood? Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, so, C20 or Duncan area, for the people turning off, some type of speed calming and an officer.
Yep, I will be talking to the chief about that tomorrow, if he's not already listening. And,
Yeah, and we'll make sure you're on the list. And right now we have them on Linwood and Broadhead.
Yeah, right now the borough has 2 active speed radar signs, and right now there's one on South Linwood and Broadhead.
And I think they're about done in both of those locations, so
Yeah.
we can make sure it goes to Duncan next.
Okay, and then, for Steve, on the land bank, are they, beholden to the zoning code?
They are. As well as our property maintenance codes and every other regulation that we have.
Yeah, and actually, that's a great example of where they save us money very quickly. Is as soon as they take over a property, they start mowing the lawns and start doing the outside work. Where we try to avoid doing that until we absolutely have to, because we have to lien the property and go through a whole process where it's part of their budget. So every property where you see a land bank is the general maintenance of the property will be better than it was prior to it them beginning.
I'm gonna follow up real quick. I'm done.
Nope, you already gave it up, Barb.
You did a great job. You put, do not enter signs on Glen and
Say-
Duncan.
Say your name, yeah.
79 Duncan.
Mhm.
So the do not enter one-way signs are on Glen and Duncan, but we were wondering if we can get them when you turn off Ingram Avenue on Maxwell and Duncan, because people still come the wrong way. And they go past our house and then they see the do not enter, so then they loop around to get back out. So maybe we can get them like on the intersection. I get it's Maxwell, right? Yeah.
Maxwell, okay.
Coming down,
Yes.
so they're turning and coming in?
From Ingram Avenue, they'll turn onto Duncan and they'll just keep going until they get to the corner of our house. And then they see the do not enter and they're like, oh, and they whip around them.
Where are they whipping to Maxwell?
Maxwell, back in
Yeah.
the circle and then back out. Yeah. And there are tons, there's no sidewalks back there on that circle and we have several little kids back there too. So,
Mhm.
and again, by the time they get down there and they whip around, they're mad because they're going the wrong way and have to figure out how to get out. So that was my one. And then, follow up on the land bank. If the land bank purchases a house and then they sell it, do the new owners have to pay taxes? I heard something like they don't pay taxes for the first 5 years on the property, if that's the case. And are they locked into always being like, say it's sold for 150, it has to stay at 150 for the lifetime of the house?
Okay.
Or can the people who purchase it sell it for a higher value? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I heard this online, a couple different things, and so I just want to make sure that the borough is not like giving it to the land bank and then not getting taxes on it for 5 years, and then if someone buys it, they can move on in 10 years and possibly make money on it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the do not enter signs on Maxwell and Duncan?
There's already do not enter signs at Duncan and Ingram intersection.
Right.
We can certainly add more down at the Maxwell intersection if that's.
Yeah, because it's
desired.
supposed to turn on to Duncan from Ingram Ave, right?
No, there's do not enter signs already there.
See from certain.
Okay. Yeah, we can add another series.
Because there was a request to take those away, right? The do not enter.
Only during the construction.
No,
No, no, there was a
request.
thing about adding a two-way, making it
Right,
two-way,
two-way.
but that was from
One way.
Mr. Sheets.
Yeah,
a
that
request
was-
From Mr. Sheets.
Right,
Yep.
yeah, so that we're not talking about.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
coming from
Ingram
Ingram Avenue the wrong way on Duncan.
We could maybe look at the signs, but maybe also paint on the actual road, the arrow. Because sometimes.
Oh, an arrow.
Yeah.
Yep.
road
That's a good idea.
sign.
Mhm.
Fine, because it's like
bend
Yeah.
from Ingram onto Dock.
Right.
So honestly, it's hard depending on which way they're turning. Until they actually are in the turn, they might not.
They're posted parallel to the road.
Yeah.
So coming up the road, you're not seeing it's.
Yeah.
Let's see it, right.
That makes sense.
Maybe even like if you're not enter, stuff, you know.
Right,
Like.
Yeah.
okay.
So I paint the stop bar and the one way and the arrow so that it's very clear on the road that this lane goes the other way.
Got signage that says no right turn, we've used other locations in the borough, we could probably put on Ingram Avenue to help drivers that are traveling towards the intersection to see that.
Do they turn left though too?
Yeah, we're going to say we have to do it both sides.
That's right.
We can at least take care of the one Crafton side.
Yeah. Oh, right, because it's.
Oh, because the other one is, they're not on ours. Okay.
We can always ask. Yeah, we can ask. Yeah, we can definitely ask. Yeah.
And then the land bank, do the new owners not pay taxes on the land bank?
They pay taxes just like anybody else would pay taxes, but the land bank gets 50% of the taxes for the first 5 years. Now, keep in mind, they don't get any of the EIT taxes and they don't get any of the other taxes that come from a landowner. For example, EIT tax or earned income. So if a couple moves in there and they're both workers, that means that we get all those taxes. Right now, we get nothing.
Right.
And keep in mind, right now, we're getting nothing. And we only pay the land bank. That is the only fee we pay the land bank besides the annual fee of around $3,000. So we pay $3,000 plus that. Right now, we're in for $20,000 for one conservatorship property.
And there's nobody on a list that we would use, nobody would be paying taxes on these properties at all.
Not now.
Yeah, because the owners, we wouldn't be able to take it if they're paying taxes on it. Okay.
5 years, yep.
50% of the property tax only.
And I'd like to add something to that. Keep in mind that most likely those taxes are higher, much higher than what they were before the property was improved. So now you have an improved property, so you're getting, and most likely the school board, the first thing they're gonna do is take it to get reassessed. And so that, what was a $13,000 property that had no taxes will now be a $200,000 property where we're only getting 5%, we're only getting 50% of the taxes for the first 5 years, which is still far higher than we would have gotten if it would have sold by itself.
Mhm.
So.
Oh.
And then
But
what
there was
was
one more
another,
question.
so there was
No,
a
those
question
were-
about the fixed cost.
Yeah.
There is no, that is all not true. They are allowed to sell it. The only requirement that a buyer has to the land bank is similar to what we're doing with the flipper of the conservatorship, which is they're required to improve it, which is only increasing the value. Improve it to a code satisfied level and what they've agreed to. And so they're going to improve appreciate the thing. It's going to increase values. There's a lot of misinformation out there that it's going to lower values, and I don't know how that's possible when you're getting something back on the rolls and you're selling it for more money.
We're getting nothing right now.
And we're getting nothing.
And it's, all the other issues are there.
What,
Okay.
Jim, wasn't there, and I think it might have been during the land bank presentation, but the average amount, so like that 50% over 5 years, what that average amount of money was, and I don't recall what the number was. I don't know if you do, but it wasn't a super high amount of money.
I think it was for $150,000 project.
Yes.
Property, it would still be less than $5,000 over the course of.
Of 5 years
of
total.
5 years.
Yeah.
It's a very low number. For us, yeah.
I think it's in, I think I have it here, but, does anybody else have a question?
One quick follow-up.
No, James.
While we're talking about traffic. James Bennett, Sarah Street. So people still run my stop sign, so that's coming in from Pittsburgh, they run it both ways. So just kind of want to remind you guys that still is a problem, that still exists. And then with regard to the speed box, I know that when they put my speed box in, according to the manual, they installed it wrong. It's supposed to be turned off for a week and then turned on. Mine was led turned on and then they turned it off and moved it. So just a thing to keep in mind. Second kind of real question, who would be representing Crafton on the land bank board?
Okay. That's it. Okay. So the Starrett Street both ways, speed box, I think those were statements, unless anybody wants to address them.
Well, and I will note that it's been up there twice now, and one time it was done incorrectly. Now it's the second time it was done correctly.
Okay. And then who represents Crafton on the land bank board?
Council will decide.
Okay. Anybody else?
Will we be notified as? to
I mean, they'd have to do it at a public meeting, so yeah.
Okay.
And is it to the board? The land bank board? that
Okay.
Go to?
No, we're done with questions. That of people that have talked. Anybody else? We only have a few left. All right, anybody online, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing none, it is 9:20 PM. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Good discussion.